I'm 18 years old and I'm from Chandler, Arizona. I started using my freshman year of high school. I was drinking a lot and then shortly after started using marijuana very often. My childhood was actually fairly normal. I was a very happy, innocent, kind of nerdy kid. I remember kind of around elementary school or junior high, I just really started noticing wanting to fit in and be kind of part of the cool crowd, I guess. And I guess just watching high school movies and wanting to be the popular kid. So that was definitely a big influence on why I started using. So up until high school, that was kind of what I always thought of getting into high school was such a big deal. And that was definitely something that my goal, I guess, of starting high school. So yeah, my freshman year, I remember the first day of school, I was going to all my classes and kind of looking for the cooler kids and trying to make friends with them. So I started kind of developing friendships with those people, and I noticed that kind of drinking was a big thing for them. A lot of them were starting to go to parties and stuff. So Halloween of my freshman year, we got invited to a party, so we went over there, but it was shut down. And I remember it was in the neighborhood next to my house, so I told people that they could come over to my house. So I snuck them into my basement and went upstairs and stole some of my parents' alcohol and brought drinks down to people. And I remember I had never tried alcohol before yet. So I took a sip of a drink and I remember not even liking it at all. But I still wanted to get drunk at some point. I wanted to know what it felt like. So the next weekend, me and my friends went to one of our girlfriend's house and we decided that we were going to drink that night. So we went downstairs and took her parents' alcohol and brought it back up to her room. So we all took a couple shots of vodka, but I remember a little bit of time passed and I still didn't feel anything yet. And so they told me to just take a couple more. And so I remember I was just sitting there waiting. And then I turned my head to the side and everything was in slow motion. And after a couple hours, all the girls were going to bed and I remember I was still really drunk. And then my stomach started hurting and so I was oh, okay, I'm probably gonna throw up. That's kind of that happens when you drink. Okay, that's probably normal. And so I went to the bathroom and then I started throwing up a bunch, but I was too scared to wake up any of the other girls or I felt I couldn't tell her parents or anything and I didn't want to call mine. So I was sick all night and so finally around 5 or 6 in the morning I called my parents and I didn't tell them that I drank. I just told them that I wasn't feeling very well. And I didn't really think anything of it, I guess just because I had been very just trustworthy and very innocent before that. So they just went along with it. After that, I was drinking every other weekend and going to a lot of parties. I smoked weed for the first time and then I started doing that and mixing that with alcohol a lot. Eventually that progressed to every weekend, especially going through winter break and spring break and stuff like that. One time I drank from 2 p.m. right when I got off to school up until 11 p.m. Between that time span I got alcohol poisoning twice and I never went to the hospital because I was afraid of getting caught. By that time I had a really bad relationship with my parents. We were yelling at each other all the time. So I was getting my phone taken away a lot. And I was drinking and smoking weed every day at this point, after school, all the time, on school nights, or I would wake up extra early just to smoke weed before school. By this time, instead of partying and drinking with friends and going out and having fun, it kind of progressed into where I was just drinking alone in my room. And I really cared less about like fitting in and like doing it for fun so much as like I just wanted to just drink and like get high all the time. So one night I was like drinking alone in my room, and I like was again like drinking all day into the night, and I eventually got sick again and got alcohol poisoning for the 4th time. So I was like throwing up a bunch, and my mom woke up and like came into my room and saw that I had like thrown up everywhere, and was like concerned. And again, I just told her that it was kind of like a stomach bug, and she was just kind of like, okay, but she was very like suspicious at that point. After that, I finally felt that like it wasn't very normal and that I probably needed to quit drinking. So I called my friends over. I had them take all my alcohol away from me. And I like told myself that I wasn't going to drink anymore. And that probably lasted like a few days before I started drinking again. So right around that time, my mom finally got into my phone and like found everything. She looked through my phone and like found all my texts talking about like drinking and getting high and like doing bad stuff. My mom called my dad, and they were trying to like figure out what to do with me, and they got a hold of like a local substance abuse counselor, and had me go meet with him. And so I like went and talked to him. Going into the appointment, like even though I knew that I had a problem, I probably should quit, like I really didn't want to. So I felt really like angry. I wasn't into it at all. So after meeting with the counselor, he recommended that I go do an IOP. Initially, like I didn't really want to be there. I wasn't too fond of like the idea of getting sober, but through outpatient, like I actually met a lot of people that I got really close to that were my age, and were getting sober too. Near the end of treatment, I got to make amends with my parents, and start to like make things right with them and apologize for everything I did. And because of that, I really started like earning their trust more. By the time I got out of treatment, I definitely felt like more comfortable with myself, and I started learning like how to actually love myself before I had terrible self-esteem. And I was definitely like a lot happier. I learned how to have fun without drinking or using. So now I have 3 years sober, and throughout this time, like I've been able to like get my first car. I started driving like right when I turned 16. I learned like how to hold down a job, and I was able to have a couple different ones. And I got to finish high school early. So my senior year, I got to spend getting some college credits. Now my relationship with my parents is like so much better. I'm really close to my mom, and before like I couldn't even talk to her. I go to 12-step meetings every week, and I'm really big on helping other people my age getting sober and be supportive of them. And it's really important for me to like have really close friendships and use that as a good support system. So yeah, I'm really happy and I love my life today, and I'm really grateful to be sober. So thank you guys for letting me share my story.